What's happening, y'all? I'm good. I can't complain. You know, I'm a year older.
Absolutely.
And, I'm gonna say,
happy birthday to Sauce. Today is his birthday.
Appreciate it. Most people don't think that the age I am considered old, but I consider myself really old. So, but most of all, I'm happy to make it to 39. And so I guess our personal friends, they know us where I'm a year older than Doc over here, but it's only for 1 week. Out the year, we basically are the same age.
Yep, 1 week and we're the same age.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. So what'd you to do anything fun for your birthday this past weekend or anything?
Let's see. For the most part, it was pretty good. I went to the bar. I ate a whole bunch of chili dogs. So I ate 8 of them, and then I had 4 hot dogs. So yeah, and the only reason why I stopped was because the kitchen was closed. So
yeah, there you go, exactly. So hey, guess what? That sounds good to me.
but most part, I got to see friends, loved ones, so can't complain.
Absolutely, man. Hey, it's always fun to see friends and family. So. But, speaking about birthdays and such, there's one thing that we always talk about in the sense with wrestling is that, it's always fun to look at, wrestlers in the sense of real people too, obviously, and they have birthdays, For example, my birthday last week, I share with the beautiful Alexa Bliss on August 9th. But we were thinking about going into talking about the different wrestlers that have, August birthdays, and such. And there's a few, more notable than others, but I'll tell you right now, right off the bat, when it came to looking up birthdays and such, I always knew Alexa Bliss, but the big one that's only 2 days after is August 11th, and that was Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, and for some reason, I always remembered that, even years ago, oh, he's so close to my birthday. I always thought that was such a cool thing, but.
Hey, you know who else shares a birthday with you?
Who else?
Silas Young from ROH.
Oh yes, yep. Yeah, Silas Young. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, Silas, yeah.
Oh yeah, the man's the man's man. Actually, he just wrestled relatively recently on Dynamite on AEW. Yep.
Against Hangman.
So, I say relatively recent. It's 2 months, but yeah, I remember that. But. Hey, that's fine with me. Who shares a birthday with you? Sauce?
So actually, I got 3.
Oh,
So
okay.
first one is Dick Murdoch. You know, he's days of the NWA. He did a little bit of Crockett Promotions. See, I looked him up a little bit. Had a few title reigns. Had a little bit of success. I was like, good for him. But then we move on to Cedric Alexander, the guy that WWE has no idea what to do with. You know, they had the Hurt Business, which was like a gold mine, and see where they
It
went.
really was. I mean,
Yeah.
gosh, he actually was on TV and it was looking good. Oh my gosh.
And then the other thing was, once again, I go back to that because like he was on 205 Live. Didn't really know what to do with him. Well, actually, they didn't really know what to do with that show in general. So,
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Oh my gosh.
and then the third, last but not least, Big Cass.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Big Cass.
The guy that the main roster didn't know what to do with until it was too late.
Oh yeah, I think in his last match he fought Daniel Bryan, and he basically kicked him. He kicked him and kicked him right out. Man, it was just like done and out.
Yeah, it was crazy because when I didn't really see him until he main evented. He debuted the day after WrestleMania.
Yep.
With Enzo when the segment with the Dudleys, and he's just sitting there like, I have this robot, this voice. I sound like 2012 Randy Orton. If you don't like that, then I got 3 words for you. I'm like, what? Wait, what? Like, why does this guy sound like this? And then you go to NXT, he's talking just like me and you. So I don't know if that was like a stupid idea from Vince to make him sound like that. Because I guess, I don't know. I mean, even if he talked normal, even with decent mic work, he obviously wasn't going to outshine Enzo. Because Enzo, he's the only person that you could probably say is better on the mic than him is probably The Rock.
Oh, Enzo's great. I mean, he's the guy that can like hype up your crowd, hype man, and if you want to hate him, he'll make you hate him, and that's really in wrestling the best reaction is any reaction, and he got your reaction regardless. When he became cruiserweight champion, everyone like, oh, it's a joke, and I thought, well, it finally gave purpose for the cruiserweight title, even though like at this time, obviously the cruiserweight title meant a lot more back in the like day with WWE and much more in WCW. Yeah. But it's, you know what I mean? Like when he had the belt, it was on Raw. He was on Raw with defending that. I just always laugh about going back to it because they just hated it. And I thought it worked. It kind of worked,
Yeah, I mean, and I know we're supposed to talk about Big Cass, but Enzo is more important right now anyway. But as far as Enzo gave you a reason to watch 205 Live for the most part. If people talk about Triple H and John Cena like burying wrestlers or whatnot, nobody buried more than Enzo when he went in that ring and buried the whole entire cruiserweight division.
I mean, it was so perfect. They're all just standing there, and he just went one after another. It was just crazy. Oh my gosh!
So real quick, looks like we got a couple chats real quick. Just say, shout out to the chat. Shout out to Owen for happy birthday. It's my younger brother.
So nice.
So I call him my little big brother because I'm 5'9", he's like 6'2". So yeah, I got none of that height. So you know how normally when it comes to when you have younger brothers, you have hand me downs. No, I have hand me ups. Okay, that's what happens. When that's what happens when you have a brother that's 4 or 5 inches taller than you.
So it's like Enzo and Big Cass, right?
Yeah. And then
like, what's up?
Yeah, exactly, pretty much. And then shout out to Papa Mafia with the birthday shout out. Appreciate it very much.
Yep.
Once again, he's the reason why we're doing this right now. So once again, shout out to him. So Doc, what else you got for us today for the rest of the fans?
What's funny? We were talking about the birthdays and then like who we shared with though. Even with that, you kind of mentioned a couple people that I'll tell you right now, one thing in wrestling that's an iconic thing is wrestling like groups stables, factions, whatever you like to call them. And I'll tell you, throughout all wrestling, there's iconic, there's underrated, there's overrated, there's just joke ones. And I thought, kind of segueing into that, just bringing up one, just because it's on one of my lists, is the Enzo, Cass, and Carmella. Now I know Carmella wasn't on the main roster, but on NXT when they debuted, I'll just as like an honorable mention for the three of them, I put them on as like an underrated, as that 3-person group, and one of my underrated when it came to like factions. So, I mean, just kind of like we already talked a little bit about it, but they just fire, man. I mean, absolute fire, especially right after WrestleMania. I mean, what do you think about it? I mean, we already talked a little bit, but what do you think about that?
Okay, so here's my thing. Here's my ruling. So when it comes to wrestling stables, it's the same thing that it's the same thing that I implement as far as with hip hop groups. So it has to be at least 3 or more.
3. Absolutely.
Because anything less than 3 is a couple. So I apply that in hip hop and I apply that in wrestling. So when it comes to as far as stables, I got a few favorites and I got some that I think is overrated. It's definitely gonna be some hot takes, and definitely gonna be underrated. We got some honorable mentions. And so as far as the favorites, so obviously, let me just get this out the way.
All right.
We all know that, DX, the NWO, we get it. They're great. Well, now they shaped a lot of our childhoods, high school, times. I get it. But I purposely left them off of my list only because it's obvious. So, the way I'm gonna do mine is I'll go through a few favorites and then and then go from there. Overrated, underrated, yada yada yada. So my top 3. So first, I'm gonna start off with main event Mafia, TNA. A stable that on paper you would think that wouldn't work for very long, but actually they made it work. And
just to clarify, just for people that don't know, you have Booker T, you have Ric Flair, Kevin Nash, Scott Steiner, and Sting.
Yep.
And I mean that is your group. So
yeah. And what was cool about it, and then Papa Kurt, that was the main reason why I was interested, And as far as the main event, like they had good matches, they built storylines, it worked. And usually, I guess when I go to like the whole thing is with stables, as long as it works, as long as I'm entertained, I'm good. That's all I care about. Like, give me a reason to watch you. That's all. That's all. Pretty
absolutely. I mean, that's all. That's all we want as wrestling fans. Absolutely.
So, can I give you another one, or do you want to jump in real quick?
Yeah, give me another one, and then we'll go back and forth on it, man. That's good.
Okay. So I got 2 more favorites, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, man.
So another one of my favorites, one of the greatest stables to ever step foot in WWF. The Right to Censor. I'm sorry. Right to Censor.
Yes.
One of the greatest factions ever. They were like the Vicky Guerreros before the Vicky Guerreros when they came in.
Excuse me.
And once again, and once again, Stevie Richards. You got the Good Father. You got Bull Buchanan. You got
Victoria.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, once again, you look at this group, you think, they'll be on Sunday Night Heat in about 2 weeks. And they lasted long enough, pretty much through the whole summer. Actually, through most of the year, they had converted Godfather over to Good Father. Back then I was pissed about it because as young teenager with raging hormones, it was only one main reason why I wanted to see the Godfather. And now Stevie Richards took that away from me.
Steven Richards took it away from you.
Yeah, and, shout out to him. He doesn't get enough credit when it comes to world of wrestling. And other I was gonna. Oh, sorry, I got a little distracted. But no, and then you had Victoria, who killed it as far as made her relevant again as far as the women's division. And then my personal favorite was the feud they had with the Dudley Boys.
Oh, absolutely! That was a great feud. I mean, it was over the top, and then you had good wrestlers in it, and then the gimmicks just worked so well.
Yeah, and that was the crazy part. So you had Steven Richards that he wasn't really doing anything. You had Bull Buchanan, who you forget worked there, and then to top it all off, then you had Goodfather. So and they all like, even though looking back at it now, even Godfather himself hated the role, but I think if anything, it to me personally, I feel like it did more for him in the long run because it just it didn't make him, it stopped making him look like a one trick pony, even though he had other, aliases, Papa Shango and others and whatnot. But like, I loved him as the Goodfather. He was great.
Oh yeah, it worked. I mean, the gimmick changed so much, but it worked so well. It was such an easy changeover that it was like, well, let's see how this works for a little bit. I bet he had fun, just doing it for a little bit, before he went back to doing his Godfather role. So,
and that's the thing, and that's the other thing too is I liked about the Right to Censor kind of sums up what I loved about the Attitude Era. It gave everybody from top card, mid card to Sunday Night Heat guys. It gave everybody a purpose.
Oh, but sorry, correction. I do apologize. It was Ivory.
Yeah,
Ivory was there, not bad. Victoria. Victoria was one of Godfather's hoes originally when she came in. Former hardcore champion, by the way.
Let's say true fact. And just gave like 6 mid carders. I mean, I'm sorry, it gave a few mid carders something to do, and it gave people, reason to watch. Like, I've said it for the last couple of years. The way that the climate is now, and the way, as far as in the world, Right to Censor would be great if you just brought them back now. Like
I mean, we're literally in a world where that happens. It wouldn't be weird. It wouldn't be a weird thing. If you heard that music, the shrill no music, oh my gosh, I would mark out. I mean, I would mark out in a second. Oh my!
Here's a hot take. I think actually the Right to Censor, if they came back now, they would probably sell as much merch as the Bloodline.
Oh yeah,
like
easily.
You'll see so many people just come to events with white shirts, black ties on just because.
No, so going with that, who would you put into your new Right to Censor?
Oh, that's a good one. So, I guess with my Right to Censor, you got to have some people that come off pretty pretentious. So, actually, I would go Dolph Ziggler.
Oh yeah,
Dolph Ziggler. I would definitely go. If he still worked at WWE, I would go with Daniel Bryan. And then, as far as like your stables, you got to have a few big guys in there with something to do. So I would actually grab some of the guys from Retribution that didn't work out, put them in there, put a uniform on them, bam, watch them do their thing.
Yep, Donovan Dijak, we can put him in there. Actually, that's a good because he's a big, tall guy.
Yep.
Yep, and then maybe like Carmella or something for a female.
Actually, who I would put my female. So the lady I would put would be Alexa Bliss.
Oh, there you go. Oh, that would work so good too, actually.
Because those guys, like, they would come together. You already got the crowd riled up, and then you give Alexa the microphone as well. Oh,
hey, Triple H, make it happen. Make it happen.
Book it, Triple H. And then then you ready for my all-time favorite?
I am.
I mean, can't go wrong with New Day. I mean, come on. New Day,
absolutely
the best stable in wrestling probably since NWO and DX. And the reason why I say because there was to give credit as far as like what a brilliant mind he has. He kind of reminds me of like Christian, guys where they have great wrestling minds, but nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
But like Xavier Woods. The thing I like about Xavier Woods, he turned a gimmick that only give black wrestlers, and normally just give them gimmick that they're giving, and they just give them, they just job out. You'll see him on Velocity in about 2 days, but Xavier Woods took the gimmick and just made it work. I remember watching it; they was sitting there with the church choir, and I'm like, these guys, Kofi about to get fired. What are they doing? I was
Oh
like,
my
Big
gosh.
E. I'm like, Big E, what's going on here?
Former
And
NXT champion doing this
yep,
now. It's like
yep, the guy who beat Seth Rollins. But then Xavier Woods took a gimmick that was basically usually meant to fail for black wrestlers, and he turned it into gold. And
oh yeah, absolutely. And just to kind of piggyback on that a little bit,
yeah,
I'll never forget when they were having their vignettes that they were debuting. And me and my brother, who's big, we've been watching wrestling since we just, yay high, so small.
yeah.
And we were very intrigued about the idea. We knew what it was, the gimmick, what kind of was going to be about, like the church choir and who it was going to be. And we kept seeing these promos. And then finally, they were supposed to debut on Raw, but they ended up debuting on SmackDown 3 days earlier, had their little match promo. And then we were like, fans were dead. They were nothing. And we just, the same thing you thought. Like, we kept watching them. And I'm like, man, I want this to work. And then it was the one day when they did the snap promo. Big E, who's just so underrated on the microphone. Yeah. He is so underrated. His snap promo, if they don't clap, we'll snap.
Yep.
And they became pseudo heels. They became, at that point, they realized, like you said, Xavier Woods and his antics and made you boo, and it just worked so well. And I was a fan ever since when they were hated. I was a fan, and to this day still a fan. So
and that's what I said with the New Day. Because the New Day, we got Kofi as champion, we got Big E as champion, and Xavier Woods as King of the Ring. And like these, and the crazy part was, there was moments where we thought they was broken, they would break up. They're still together now.
Yep. Oh yeah. I mean, best wishes for Big E. Get better soon. But still, it's crazy that they're still around and that they had never broke up. So.
And then one more thing as far as the New Day, and it was great because we got to see Big E, how good he was on the mic. Because we saw glimpses of it when he was with wait, hold on. Somewhere just happened, guys. Hold on. All right, there we go. So got a little lost there, but he's back. But let's say we good over there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yep. Okay. We lost you for a second, but as far as so we knew as far as with Big E, as far as with we knew about his mic work a little bit because when he was doing his thing with Dolph Ziggler and AJ Lee, and we saw glimpses of it, but then he was just more of a just the muscle at that point. And even like through his singles career before the New Day, like he was just there. And then Kofi, when he basically got buried by Randy Orton, he was basically Mr. Royal Rumble gimmick, and he'll, do a whole bunch of like mid card jobs and whatnot. And he was just there.
He was there. Yeah.
Yep, he was just there. And then Woods, coming to NXT, I'm like, oh crap, oh sweet, we got a Consequences Creed coming in here. Let's see what's going on.
Consequences Creed, baby.
And then of course he got his ass kicked in the first NXT takeover when Rusev came out. I was like, oh Jesus. But when they got together, it was like watching. But when they got together and once everything clicked, it was like watching Voltron form.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's one costume I wish they would have done. They've done so many cool costumes over the years. That would have been cool to see something similar to like that. But they definitely know their fan base with all the Power Rangers or the anime characters that they've done their costumes based off of. And so, yeah, it's always been pretty fun.
And just for the record, y'all, when they first came out, I thought they was going to end up on Thursday night main event. But this guy over here, Dr. Love, he knew from the jump that they were it.
Oh yeah, and every single pay-per-view, man, when they won the tag team titles, and then they held them for a while, then lost to the primetime players, And then they got them back, and at that point they're like, nope, we're going to keep those belts on them. Even though they fought the Dudley Boys in their resurgence, they fought everybody. And I said, no, they're going to hold those belts until they beat the record for the tag team and reign. And you hated them, but then the fans just started the turn. They started the turn, and then they started cheering, and it's crazy. It's crazy how much they cheered. And it's always funny because we have a friend that to this day will just hate the New Day, and it just announced a joke. He just, every time we talk about, even if everyone loves them, he hates them. So we always joke about it.
Yeah, that's because he was never loved as a child. That's all. And as far as the last thing I want to say, as far as the New Day, was one of my favorite moments was involving The Rock when they had a little promo back and forth, and The Rock said some things that I'm sure it's not very YouTube friendly, so we're not gonna say it. But y'all go on YouTube, and y'all can see what I'm talking about.
Yep.
That's all. So that's all for my favorites. So I'll slide it back over to you before I get to my underrated and see what you got going on.
All right, no problem. Well, first, before we go on to that, we'll looks like we got a chat here. Let's see what we have from Mafia Sports Report, and it looks like, yep, Bootios, baby, Bootios.
Yeah. So I saw that cereal FYE. I looked at it and I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't know why.
I feel like it's Fruit Loops, but not probably.
And I think the cereal was like $20. I was like, I love yous everywhere.
$20. What?
Yeah, or I don't know if that was FYE pricing because that's just FYE. But for the most part, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I was like, I'll buy a New Day shirt if I eat this cereal.
Right. We got a chat here from Jocko or Jacob or however Robertson. Hi. Hello. How you doing? Thank you for tuning in to Nuclear Heat Wave Wrestling Podcast.
Appreciate it. Two guys just just live in the middle of nowhere, just talk about some wrestling. You took time out of your day to say what's up. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, but going back to the wrestler, like now with I'll go with my favorites now too, because it'll be a little bit shorter list because my third favorite was New Day for sure. My third favorite. And we already kind of talked about it enough, but man, I'll tell you right now, another thing that they could sell is just merch. Talk about the merchandise. I mean, they were talking about John Cena level selling of merchandise.
Yeah.
And I personally I had like 2 or 3 shirts thing for them. So, and I think you now have one of them. So
yes, I'm a proud owner of a New Day shirt.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'll give them that though. They're very cool. But going out for that though, if we're gonna say, I'd say my second favorite. And you know what, in a general sense, I'll say this, but it's got to be. I know we said we weren't really going to talk about like the other ones, but we have to talk about the NWO.
Oh yeah, I said you can talk about them all day. Like me personally, I want to go a little bit elsewhere.
Oh no, I know. Oh, I know. Oh, absolutely. Because trust me, I've got enough. We between both of us, we've got enough to talk about like a whole bunch of like random ones. But when it came to the NWO, and I'm not really going to talk about like everything about it, but just like I have my Wolfpack flag here. Ironically, my favorite iteration really was the original black and white. And when they had, when Giant and when X-Pac, Six-Pac was with and like Bischoff was there, like that was really my favorite. Honestly, because they just ran everything. They ran everything, and it just was something different. No one ever saw Hogan as a heel, so it just rocked the entire pro wrestling community. And I remember watching it live. I remember watching it live with my brother and my dad because we would get the pay-per-views.
Wasn't that Bash at the Beach?
Bash at the Beach, yep. Yeah. And it was absolutely just mind-boggling to see it. So, and then they continued on for a long time after that. Some say too long, but
they did give us a whole. NWO gave us a lot. They gave us, the original, the Wolfpack, LWO, BWO, the Warrior WO. But can I piggyback off of that real
Yeah,
quick?
absolutely.
So you know, you was talking about Hogan, as far as when he did the turn and when he converted over to the dark side. Every time I see that promo happen, I think about what could have been with John Cena at SummerSlam 2000. I think I want to say 2011 when it was basically Team Cena versus Nexus.
Yeah.
Like that would have been the perfect time to turn him heel. Like the way I envisioned in my head. So Bret Hart, you know, he's getting ready. You know, Bret Hart's going to do the tag. John Cena says nope. Bret Hart falls, and then Cena comes in the ring. He takes off whatever color shirt he was working with that day, and you just see the Nexus shirt underneath, and then he just beats poor Bret to oblivion. That would have been like the second coming of Hollywood Hogan with Cena if he would have did the whole heel turn thing.
Oh yeah, I mean it was great. I mean, come on. I mean, like if that had happened, but you know, just wishful thinking, my friend. Wishful thinking sometimes.
I see what you did. I see what you did there with the make a wish.
But you know, we got a chat here that's very relevant to this conversation. Actually, that from Mafia Sports Report, of course, NWO, the best stable ever. When you're NWO, you're NWO for life, baby. Woo! Thank you, my friends over at Mafia Sports Report. And then, of course, again, we were with Owen. So, happy birthday, Big Bro Sauce. Oh yeah, you're right. That was from earlier. You know what? We'll say happy birthday again to you, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Oh, but so yeah, with the NWO, you know, when they did the Splinter Group, which was inevitable, you know, Black and White had still been very popular, and then it was going to be inevitable, especially for merch. I mean, NWO merch was selling like crazy, so a new Splinter Group was going to happen. And when the Wolfpack happened, that's when they saw that divide. They're like, wait, now everyone loves the Wolfpack. What are we going to do? And it made sense to put Hogan in the Wolfpack to basically make them the main group, and then you had the B team. You know, when the B team is the Stevie Ray and Vincent, you know, when they had a battle for the leadership of the Black and White, then you knew the Black and White was really dead. So, but I will say to the people this: Black and White might have been pretty bad at that point, but nothing was as bad as NWO 2000, the Black and Silver, which was Jeff Jarrett, Bret Hart. Sorry.
I forgot all about that.
I got palpitations. I'm sorry. Oh gosh, I'm just thinking about that. Yeah, because you have Slapnuts himself, the chosen one, Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everyone likes to forget about it. Or NWO 2000. Yeah, that's what sorry. I just had a little aneurysm there, I think. But kidding.
Black and White did give us the best character of all. And that was the big bad booty daddy, Big Papa Pump.
Oh yes,
Scott Steiner,
the genetic freak.
If Black and White gave us nothing else besides Hogan, it was Scott Steiner.
Wait a minute, Wait a minute. What about Horace Hogan? Or the disciple? You know. Come on, oh gosh, I'm sorry. Like, you know, every stable, every faction that has a multiple members, is always that you got the little runt that's like pops in, like, hey guys, what's up? Can I join too? Hey, you know,
like the little brother that won't go away.
Oh yeah, and so we could go on and on about it, but on another day we'll probably do we'll do like some faction battle type thing in a later episode. But kind of moving on, and I'll say with my favorite one, and it's hard to say this because there's so many wrestling factions, but I honestly have to say just what they've done recently to bring wrestling fans of everywhere all together is got to be the Bullet Club. You know, the Bullet Club has only been around since 2013, but the impact they've done in pro wrestling it's monumental. I mean, you're talking about a group that's started with Prince Devitt, or, you know, our Finn Balor. You know, it's insane, like his stock and how much it went up as the first leader of the Bullet Club. You know, I don't know, like, I've watched New Japan Pro Wrestling with my brother, so I don't know how much you've watched of it, sauce like a few years ago
So
or
a
anything?
little bit here and there, but not as much as you.
Mm-hmm.
But I watched a little bit here and there just to know just enough as far as what was going on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, they literally came out of nowhere, had this
Yeah.
group, and then they just kind of ran it because, you know, we might kind of complain a little bit like with AEW and how many different groups or factions there is. New Japan is not really much better. They do have a lot of groups, you know, smaller groups, bigger groups that kind of pop in and out. So when the Bullet Club was made, it was small, you know, and then, you know, you had Carl Anderson came in there with Doc Gallows, you know, our former Festus, former
Yep.
fake Undertaker, or I'm sorry, fake Kane, you know, stuff like that.
Yep.
So, and then, you know, at that point, you know, Prince Devitt leaves, goes to, you know, the FCW, NXT, and then the rest is history right there. So, but Carl Anderson goes there, one of the best technical mat wrestlers I've ever seen, an official, you know, Anderson, of course, and at that point, it just keeps growing and growing, and then AJ Styles joins the group. AJ Styles joins because TNA said, guess what? We don't want to re-sign you for the most bizarre reasons, which I don't have a reason. They just didn't want to pay him anymore, which I'm sorry, without him, you don't have TNA. He's your...
Yeah.
So then that's when they really blew up. You know, you have this team with this AJ Styles who was already like, he's already like cemented himself in the wrestling, and then the Bullet Club, the merch. And I remember like we were watching it and the merch was selling so good there, but it wasn't really here. You know, it wasn't because it still wasn't brought over. And my brother actually for Christmas one year got me an official Bullet Club shirt for Christmas, and I went ballistic. I was like, oh my gosh, and I wore it all the time. You know, I still have it to this day. But you know, around that time is when Kenny Omega joined the group. So, you know, so at that, you know, it blew up, and I'm not going to go over all the members because they had, just like kind of NWO, they had a lot of members.
A lot.
You know, I mean, this is a group that had Hangman Page, and he was like the little guy, like, hi, hey guys, what's going on? And look at him now.
Remember.
So, you know, the Young Bucks there, so Adam Cole, Marty Scurll, Jay White, who's the current leader now of them, and they're still doing good. You know, they've had many little faction split ups here and there, just like how Wolfpack did, but overall, they're still going right up today. And I just think their impact in general for wrestling makes them my favorite. So makes them my favorite.
And to piggyback off what you're saying, I would definitely say Bullet Club was really, really big. Only because at that point WWE was like the biggest name in town, and the fact that you got somebody way over there somewhere, you know, with this whole faction thing, with this whole Bullet Club, and you know, like how big it blew up, you know, and because around this time, if it wasn't WWE, it wasn't, you know, it would basically fall on deaf ears. Like prime example, like Aces and Eights, you know, with that big stable. Like imagine, you know. Imagine how much merch they would have sold, you know, if things were a little bit different. I mean, the stable was cool and all, but like, imagine if they, you know, could have did like Bullet Club and just, you know, really, really took off the way that Bullet Club did.
Absolutely. Actually, that's a good point. I'm not the biggest fan of them, but I completely understand and get that. If they had kind of marketed it better, they could have, the merch would have sold well. They could have, it would have been, you know, very popular.
Because once again, they was there. I mean, it happened, but you know, but like I said, without the marketability, I mean, just imagine if, you know, seeing Aces 8 shirts at a WWE show. You know.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, going with that now, that's kind of our favorites. Now we got some fun ones. We got fun ones. So let's talk about what would we say? What we said before? Underrated or hated or?
Well, how about this? Do you want to go overrated or do you want to go underrated? Or how you want to do this next one?
Let's do overrated. Let's do the overrated. Yeah, because I feel. Yeah, I would say that's the overrated. So let's we'll do like you. We'll start with you, and then we'll kind of pop back.
Well, I was gonna say because I did the favorite. So how about you start? How about you start this time?
You got it. You got it. So if we're going to talk about overrated and when it comes to groups, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to get some hate for it, but Heart Foundation, the
You
Heart
know what?
Foundation.
I'm. You know what? I perfectly agree. But go ahead. I agree.
There's nothing wrong with any of the wrestling of them. Not at all. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that Brett or Owen. Owen's actually one of my favorite, singles wrestlers. But in a general sense, I was never a fan of them as a group. I don't know. It was just something where, it's also a different time. We're talking about a different time when you put that same group now on TV now, no one's cheering for them. I mean, they might get a little bit of cheering, but they're not going to get the same kind of reaction. And I'm talking about the exact same group. You're not getting, you wouldn't. And so I was never like, oh, I got to watch them. The Heart Foundation. I would have rather seen any joke teams, for example. I would have rather besides them, but nothing against the wrestling capabilities. They are very good. They are very good. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, almost the whole team is in some type of. I would actually say the whole foundation itself is in some type of wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yep. Oh, absolutely, and and also the fact that Bret Hart is the only surviving member, so that's everyone rest in peace, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's not much more to say on that, honestly. But that would be my I'd say third overrated. It's hard to number it at that point, but I'd say that for sure.
Okay.
So talking about other overrated groups, it's it was hard for me because I have groups that are just like the worst. And I hate saying it, and then you have overrated, kind of bouncing back and forth on that.
Right.
I'd say the Nation of Domination. Now, I know. But here's my reasoning for it. Here's my reason. There's no denying the people in it. Obviously, you have The Rock. You have with Farouk, but then you get people like Ahmed Johnson. That's just complete joke. I mean, he's always been a joke wrestler. He can't wrestle. He will injure people more often than not. Hell, in my opinion, the best member of Nation Domination was Owen Hart. I mean, I'll just say it right now. But I'm kind of teasing about it. But I just overall, I think it did help out with getting some of these wrestlers on TV more, like D'Lo Brown. I've always enjoyed his matches and such. Again, go back to Farouk, and then that helped him move off to be in the Acolytes, and then the APA. So that and then of course The Rock. But in a general sense, watching their stuff on TV, I wasn't like I gotta go watch them. I have to watch it.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm just glad you didn't say that in February. That's all.
Oh my god!
No, you also forgot.
I see what you did there.
You also forgot one other another important member in the Nation.
Mark Henry.
Yep.
Yeah, Mark Henry too. Yeah, world's strongest man. Yeah, I was sitting here thinking, like, yep, I got someone he's rattling around in the back of my head. So
a little fun fact. I watched the Godfather's the podcast of Smoking Skull. Mm-hmm. And because I found out the main reason why that stable was put together was for The Rock to, basically to push him.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, because at that point they were trying, Rocky Maivia had debuted. Everyone hated him. Everyone knows the infamous, Rocky die chance for a guy that was literally trying to get over as a face.
Yeah.
And then they were like, let's do this now. He can talk, but we got to put him in. Let's do something where he's a heel without having him talk so much yet. And then they started having him talk and then the rest is history, But okay, all right.
And also too, adding on that, and then you talked about like the Rock's catchphrases, like "Know Your Role," "Shut Your Mouth," "Jabroni." All those phrases came from Farouk. From Ron Simmons, yeah.
I did not know that, actually. Okay.
Because he said around the locker room, Ron Simmons, we calling people jabronis or know your role, shut your mouth, and a lot of those phrases. So I guess, I don't know if The Rock came to him or somebody came to him and asked him, like, how would you feel when you saying that? And Simmons was like, I don't care. Do what you got to do.
And the rest is history, man.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Uh-huh.
I like that.
You got one more for us?
Yeah, I do have one more for us.
Okay.
And this is also around that same era, but it has to be the corporation, the original corporation.
I agree.
So, because how many times has it done to death to have the boss doing it in a group? I mean, later they end up doing the authority, which is the same exact thing as the corporation, in my opinion.
And then the DX Corporation for a minute with Triple H.
Yeah, China and Triple H were there. So you had the DX one, then the corporate ministry, which just, I mean, at that point, it was almost like the NWO Black and White and then the Wolfpack. Like, just throw everybody in there. Like, everyone's a member. It's a free-for-all. So that's my reason. Yeah, I mean, that's really my reason for that. The higher power, and then it was just McMahon. And, and then we're like, well, okay, never mind. But there's not much more on that one. So Sauce, what about you? Overrated.
I can't wait for this one. I've been waiting since 6:30 this afternoon for this one. So we'll start with La Familia, the stable with Edge, Vicky Guerrero, Chavo Guerrero, and the Edge Heads. It was just weird. They could have called it anything else, and I would have been okay with it. But La Familia, and granted, I know they was doing it to as far as the heat for the fans and to piss the fans off. But the stable itself, I was like, like it did nothing for me.
I mean, I remember it barely, but I do remember it, and I wasn't a fan either. So
it was just like everybody was like, "Oh my god, can we just please move forward?" Like it was just like it was terrible. I mean, granted, it gave us, helped elevate Edge to where he is now. Vicky Guerrero definitely became a household name, because of it. And I mean, we got to see Zack Ryder before Zack Ryder. So at that point, and and Chavo, eventually led to Chavo getting a small resurgence in ECW. So, at that point, but yeah, as far as the stable goes, if it never returned, I'll be happy.
Absolutely.
So,
my gosh,
the next one, I'm sure is going to piss a lot of IWC fans off, but the Straight Edge Society.
Oh, I'm on my keyboard. We're typing fast right away.
Like, as far as CM Punk, it was just let's see what CM Punk got to say and look at the stooges behind him. Because
I mean, and look who was there. I mean, you got Doc Gallows doing nothing, or and he went under Luke Gallows at that second, which was nice that he wasn't Festus, but he didn't do anything.
I'd rather have him as Festus, because at that point he was way better as Festus instead of just a muscle, just a straight edge lord muscle. And then you had Serena. They really didn't do nothing with.
They didn't do anything with her, and that was sad. That was sad to see that. She just wrestled, in AEW and had a pretty good match there, and yet it's like that's the same person that we saw years ago. Oh,
yeah, and I kid you not. Last year I was watching Dynamite, and I kept looking like Serena. I kept looking at her like, wait a minute, hold on, I gotta go to Google real quick. And I was like, oh snap, that's still her. And look where she's at now. Like she's killing it. And what was it? And then they tried to add they added another member. It was from Eminem. Obviously it wasn't Morrison. It was the other
Mercury. Joey Mercury. Yeah.
Mercury. Yeah, he was just there, and I'm like, listen, if we could just get past this would be great.
Yeah.
Because at that point they were always just there for CM Punk.
Yep.
And CM Punk literally, and the thing is, CM Punk literally could have did the exact same promos, exact same everything without them being there.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he wanted to, instead of having Serena there, he could have got some girl from like a local indie promotion to shave her head and just do that for one night only, or maybe do a couple different a few wrestlers he could have just did that for and praised them whatever for being edge lords. But the stable itself, trash.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
You think if that one didn't get the keepers going, this third one, oh yeah. Legacy. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Talking about a group that should have worked on paper. It should have worked. Yep.
Yep.
And it did not.
Because they basically wanted Randy Orton to have his own version of Evolution. Mm-hmm. And it was like it just never clicked with the three. Then they started adding in people that made it even worse. I mean, Husky Harris. Then you have what's the name? The dude who was Domino. He joined them, and Snooker Son. And,
yep.
He was in there for a minute, and it was just like I was like, y'all please just stop, just stop.
Like, yeah, it didn't work. You know, nothing about it worked. You know, Ted DiBiase Jr. he's not that good. I'm sorry. He's forgettable. You know, you have a name and then that's all you got.
You know what probably made that stable work? If Randy Orton was never involved.
There you go. Yeah.
Think about it. You would have had Cody Rhodes, you would have had DiBiase Jr., you would have had Domino, and then you could have had Husky Harris, and then you added
Joe Henning. You could have had Curtis Axel, right?
Yeah, put them in there, and then you could have just had a decent mid card group. You know, they think would have been, it's time for a new legacy, it's time for a change, and throw a couple t-shirts together, sell some merch for about 6 to 8 months, and bam. But I think because when putting Randy Orton there, it was just like if you take Randy Orton out of that group, I think they would have did at least a little bit better.
Oh, absolutely. I think so too. And I mean, I'm still not the biggest fan of Ted DiBiase Jr., but doing it the way you just said, it would have worked because then you can work with the better wrestlers, the people on the mic, stuff like that. It would have worked way better the way you said, man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
But that's all I pretty much got for the overrated. So I'm gonna just swing it over to you.
All right, I have to throw these in there because when I was doing my list, when I did the like we were talking about, but I also put on here just the ones I hate, the ones that are just the worst. And if you don't have ones like that, that's okay. But we all could think of some. But I have 3 here. They're the worst. And I'm going to go just right into it. The League of Nations. Friggin' League of Nations. Again, another one on paper. Should have worked. Beyond belief. Should have worked. And so why didn't it work, Sauce? Why didn't it work?
Because it was already done with the Un-Americans.
Which was
way, way better. And
my God.
And with the Un-Americans, it was all Canadians.
They were all Canadians, right? So, oh my God. And I'll just never forget with the League of Nations, there was backstage info that they wanted Kevin Owens part of it, and he was like, no. And I said, thank God he said no, if that ever took place conversation-wise. But you have, 4 guys that should have, been fine on their own, you know. And oh my gosh, I just to this day, anytime they went on TV or their music played, we were just grown like, God, bathroom break. Oh no!
I wish I had I wish I had DVR when I had AT&T Uverse at the time.
Don't you remember at WrestleMania, it was New Day versus the League of Nations, and New Day lost. They lost to the League of Nations at WrestleMania, and I was like, why?
Yep.
Why would you do that? Oh my gosh. But actually I didn't mean to do it this way, but my next group that I just absolutely hated has one member of League of Nations in it. Wade Barrett with the Core. The Core, yes, the splinter group of the Nexus that Wade Barrett, Justin Gabriel, Heath Slater, and Ezekiel Jackson was part of. And they were only around for like 6 months. But you had the Core. I mean, they were awful. That was the year they had the Royal Rumble with 40 members, in the Royal Rumble. And then it sounds better on paper, but no, at one point it was just like the 4 core members, and they just kept beating up people one after like 10 people at a time. And then it was not even worth it.
Terrible, because it's like they were trying to do Nexus 2.0. But the only good thing about the core was that theme music was sweet, though.
You know what? And I'm a theme music guy, and that'll definitely be another podcast in the future. Best, worst, weirdest theme musics. But the core had a pretty good. Yeah, core's got a really good theme music. You're right. You're right about that. So now talk about theme music that didn't match the group is the worst. And it just worked so well. Was I got everything I've ever wanted, and I never think that. Yeah, so X Factor with X-Pac, Just Incredible, and Albert. I mean, literally, this group comes out, and it comes out to a song by Uncle Cracker. I'm a fan, but the song doesn't, in any realm, make sense as a wrestling theme music. So they came out, and I mean, X-Pac already gets so much heat. Just Incredible wasn't doing anything at the time, and Albert was doing nothing, because this is his pre-A-Train stage before he was rebranded as A-Train. But to this day, I have to say, is the worst. I mean, we could go back and find some early bad gimmick, but to me, that's got to be my personal gimmick.
Yeah, because at that point, they had I think the only thing that could have helped save that stable is if they all dress like X-Pac. I think that would be the only thing.
Even Albert.
Albert. Yes. Give him some tight tights, and just see what he can do. But luckily, things turned around for him when they did TNA, which I think was a great stable.
Yep. Oh yeah. TNA was great at that time. I mean, you introduced Trish Stratus, who no one thought was going to actually learn to wrestle and become what she was. I mean, that was crazy to think about. She was a great valet that ended up wanting to learn to wrestle, and she did the work, and she became really good. So yeah. But just thinking about these factions. But trying to think if we already said it. We already got the how about the underrated?
Underrated.
We still got the underrated ones to go. So back to you. Sauce, what do you got?
So underrated, this shouldn't have worked, but if for some reason it did, and I was all for it, was the King Booker Court. Like, you had, so to give you all some context, who never seen this, so Booker T, you had King Booker T, you had Charmel, of course, but then you had William Regal, and you had Fit Finley, all in the same group.
It was great.
It shouldn't have worked, but it worked. But it was great. I don't know, why. Man. I don't know why it worked, but the wrestling gods smiled down on Booker T that day, and it helped get him help get him a push to his to a world title that he should have got years before. But we're not going to bitch about that again.
Yes. No. Oh man, that's a good one. I loved King Booker. I loved the gimmick worked. It was perfect. He came out on the carriage at Raw. That was the best. Oh my gosh. Oh Lord. Oh gosh. So what else you got?
The next one I got is the Brood. And
the Brood.
I mean, it's of course, everyone loves the Brood, but I think so. Obviously, we see what it did for Edge and Christian, but you also forget about Gangrel. I mean, even when Edge and Christian was blowing up, starting to blow up. I mean, Gangrel was still he was a damn good mid-carder. So even with the whole vampire gimmick, he was still a big fan favorite. So, and then obviously, Edge has been redoing their entrance now. So that tells you right there just how cool, they had one of the best entrances as far as the WWE wise. So they bringing it back, 25 years later. So.
And it's still awesome. It's still an awesome entrance. We're like, oh my God, it's so cool, But I like it. That's a good one.
And then another one I got is the Radicals.
I almost wrote that down. Swear to God, almost wrote that down earlier. Oh
so
my God.
obviously it didn't work out because some of the guys in there just like obviously they didn't know what to do with Dean Malenko. They just really did because in WWE, in WWF, if you didn't have a character, it's like they didn't know what to do with you. And then so you had Dean Malenko, you had Perry Saturn, who was awesome. Then you had, of course, May recipes Eddie Guerrero, and then you had Canada Man in there. So, but I mean that whole stable. But like I would say those first couple months, like y'all thought the Nexus beat downs that they did on Cena was vicious. The Radicals, when they came out, they were like before the Street Profits, they wanted all the smoke when they came through.
Well, yeah, what was crazy is as a wrestling fan, you got to remember, Chris Canada Man, Benoit, Mr. Benoit.
Yeah, right.
He was on WCW and he won the WCW championship. And then immediately they leave to go as the Radicals.
Yep.
So as a wrestling fan, that was a huge deal to see them like come to the like what the heck's going on, And yeah, it was sad about Dean Malenko, but even because we know how good wrestler he is. But I think what's even sadder is what they did to Perry Saturn, though.
Yeah.
They didn't. It's like they had a good thing to work with him, but then they just kind of did, like what, like why would they treat him that way? Well, I don't know, man.
Apparently, he had a match where he did like a nasty botch on somebody. He botched the match, and I don't remember who it was, but that was basically like his way of being punished. And I guess people like it worked for him for so long, and people liked it, so Vince just kept having him do it.
I gotcha. That works.
But Dean Malenko, the man of 1,000 holds, until Jericho came along with 1,001 holds.
Yeah. Yes, he's like, here we go. I got my paper to read.
Yep. What's funny about that? I mean, not to get too far off track, but so when he was talking about when Jericho was talking about that segment with the holds, he was reading, as far as the holds were not. The crowd wasn't. They was into it, but they wasn't that into it. And I guess they had to go to commercial. So then he pulled, the low hanging fruit, which is talk trash about the people's city and just get them all riled up. Then when it came back to the commercial, he went back to the list, and then that's why everybody was like yelling and booing at him at that point.
Oh yeah. He just. I mean, how funny is that? That's why nuclear heat, man, it was the best. Oh my gosh.
But as far as and then I know normally we do 3, but I had to put this 4th one in. Team Angle. Like everything about it was great. I mean, yeah, Papa Kurt. You had Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas.
Yep, the world's greatest tag team. I mean, gosh, they were just it all worked so well together. So when they were all champions, I had all the gold. It was nice. That was a good time in SmackDown. That was a good time in SmackDown history right there.
And and the world's greatest tag team, they were basically American Alpha before American Alpha.
Yeah, and they actually, except they got a push and they were on TV longer,
But actually, interesting fact, Kurt Angle. No, Bobby Lashley was talking about Kurt Angle was the one that basically kind of helped him get his foot in the door in WWE. And I told people, I was like, just imagine if they had Bobby Lashley in that stable.
Oh, that would have been sweet.
So you would have had Angle. You would have had Angle, Charlie Haas, Benjamin, and Bobby. So at that point, you would have Angle as your main champ. You would have had Haas and Benjamin as your tag champs. And then you could have threw an Intercontinental strap on Bobby Lashley. And I think once they would have broke up, who knows at that point if Brock Lesnar, I mean, granted, he already had the title run, but who knows if Brock Lesnar would have won, who would have got the strap at 19. It could have been Bobby Lashley.
It could have easily been Bobby Lashley, yeah.
Yeah, because they could have they could have did the Batista and Triple H storyline, but they could have been Bobby Lashley and Angle.
Oh, that would have been that would have been, that would have been cool to see now to think about it. Oh man. Just thinking about it right now, what could have happened, man.
What shoulda, coulda, woulda. But as far as that goes, as far as the underrated, underrated ones. That's pretty much what I got going on. So, how about you, Doc? What you got?
You know, so I'll tell you right now, right off the bat, I'll have to say, my first one has to be Too Cool. Too Cool. You know, the former Too Much. You know,
Yep.
And then they changed the gimmick. Thankfully, you know, they were great heels as Too Much, but they were only relegated to Velocity, Heat, and such. Then they changed it to Too Cool and add Rikishi of all people. And again, shouldn't have worked. It absolutely worked. I mean, me and my friend Andy, we dressed up as them, and he was Grandmaster Anday, and I was Nikki Too Slicky. You know, so it worked really well. You know, but it was just a fun thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, people loved it at the Royal Rumble when they got them dancing in the ring, you know, and then he got thrown out afterwards. Like, it was just a fun time in wrestling. Could it work now? Not as much. It might get a little bit of pop, and it wouldn't work as much now, but it was fun. Sold merch. They were, but I always said that they were underrated.
Oh yeah,
for what they did, you know. So
New Day kind of does. Well, New Day kind of does little dance and stuff, but they usually do it like after, whatnot.
New Day definitely, with some of the antics they have, reminds me of like some of the stuff from Too Cool. So, if I had to say another one here, I definitely have to say the Dudley Brothers. Now, I'm talking about basically Dudley Brothers from ECW.
Yeah.
Like, the Dudley Boys, of course, are great in WWE and everywhere else, but the Dudley Brothers team that in ECW came out with no music. You had Sign Guy Dudley, you had Big Dick Dudley, you had Spike Dudley, who then basically fought them, Devon, Bubba Ray, all these random Dudleys that would come in there, and they were the heat, the biggest heels in ECW.
Oh, yeah.
Again, no music. They would just trash everybody every time, and I loved them. They were so good on the mic, Bubba Ray. And what's crazy is Bubba Ray, that was like at one point, I hate saying the worst shape, but that was the biggest he ever really was then. And seeing him now to then is crazy transformation, Oh
yeah, he almost he's about the size of Kevin Owens now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, you go back and watch some of the old ECW with him. Yeah. It's insane how much bigger he was. But no, just watch some of those promos, those uncut promos, and they're gold. Yeah, they're just so good. And then, but yeah. So, and then topping it off here, I'd have to say, I kept going back and forth on a couple of gimmicks, but I have to say the Cabinet with JBL.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Mainly because I love JBL.
Right.
I am not the biggest Orlando Jordan fan. I did like the Bashams when they were in the Indies and the OVW.
Right.
And I like, it's good muscle for them. And then of course they like Jillian Hall, and then they had the Amy Weber for like 5 seconds, and then she was gone. She might have, took a payoff possibly from Mr. McMahon. Who knows? It's around the same time. But, JBL just ran that, and it was great. He was just, JBL is champion. It's still one of my favorite times, So I'd have to say the Cabinet was definitely underrated.
Yeah, I'm not too mad at the Cabinet. I mean, JBL was still, I say to this day, top 10 greatest heels as far as in wrestling, because I mean, he was basically just being himself. And I mean, like you said, with the Bashams, or not, like even Orlando Jordan, like even with that stable, it was like he had purpose. He gave you a reason to kind of notice him or whatnot. But like, yeah, with JBL, it was I mean, you couldn't go wrong. I mean, anything he said and did, anything happened was pure gold at the time. So anybody who was like in that stable with him, affiliated with him, it was just like you could do no wrong. It was right place, right time for everybody else.
Oh yeah, and then you got to remember Orlando Jordan was the one to win the U.S. Championship.
Yep.
And then put it in the trash can, the spinner belt from Cena, and then it lit on fire, and then miraculously turned back into the old belt. Wrestling logic, of course, but
we never question it.
Don't question it. Don't question it.
Nope.
But no, honestly, if I had to look, I mean, we could sit here and talk about it for hours about all the different groups and factions and the good, the bad, the terrible. But honestly, I think we had a pretty good repertoire from old to new to random to everything in between. So yeah.
Are we ready for honorable mentions, or do you
Yes,
still got
we
a few
are.
more for?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
So go ahead with what you have for a good honorable mention.
Oh, you're gonna love these because a guy with a wrestling brain is yours. You'll definitely appreciate these. So the first one I'm gonna go off with. I don't know if you remember it. It was Thuggin' and Buggin'.
Yeah.
Because that was around the time with Teddy Long. It was Teddy Long, Rodney Mack, and Mark Henry.
Rodney Mack, right there, man.
Yeah, Rodney Mack. And at that point, they was fresh off the White Boy Challenge, and they was like, all right, well, we're not doing that with Mark Henry. Just throw him in there. Oh, great. And then the next one is, I say they warm my heart every time I see them on the screen, even if they showed up now. Mean Street Posse.
Yes.
Mean Street Posse was
great. My gosh, because it was such a joke, you know. Yep. But it was so stupid, but it worked because you had to hate these yuppie kids from Greenwich, you know, like these. It was so easy to hate them, you know.
But but every time they showed up, they was entertaining as hell. Now I heard that they was originally set up. They were supposed to be a stable with Shane McMahon, like they were supposed to be like kind of like his bros or his bodyguards. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know how true that was, but I mean, looking back at it, would have made sense. But yeah, Mean Street Posse, they was entertaining as hell, especially during what was it, WrestleMania 16 or 2000, that hardcore match. They went around the whole entire Anaheim stadium. I say just beating the hell out of each other for that belt. Good times.
Oh my god, I like it. I like good times.
And here's another one. Like obviously it didn't work back then because McMahon just had this. McMahon just sometimes did not know how to book, wrestler. He didn't know how to book non-white wrestlers sometimes. But I think if you brought them back now with the same gimmick, they would kill it in AEW. Mm-hmm. Is the Mexicools.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I I will say though, I almost wrote them down earlier, and because I appreciated all their wrestling abilities back in WCW and the ECW for them. Super crazy, psychosis, Juventud, but they came out on lawnmowers, man. That was like crazy.
I mean, that part was great. And it's I mean, it was cool, but it's like McMahon just didn't know what to do with them after so long. It was like he was like, okay, here they are. All right, now they're gone.
Then they're gone. Yeah.
I feel like if in another reality you bring them out in AEW with the lawnmowers, they will kill it. Because they all can wrestle. They all can wrestle their butt off, and then lawnmowers. They could. Then of course that as far as with all the Mexico stuff on them, like that would have been easy merch to sell.
Oh my god! Yeah, absolutely, man.
Book it another life, Triple H.
Book it.
But that's all I got for my honorable mentions. I'll go ahead and swing it over to you.
There's so many I could just jump around into, but oh gosh, I'll tell you one right off the bat. It's I'd say I'm gonna give it a dishonorable mention. This is only because it has to be mentioned. Is when NWA TNA first started in their weekly pay-per-views, they were very entertaining, and they had some good wrestling. They had some bad wrestling, some good teams, back and forth. But then Russo had to join, and as usually what happens, it's like a cancer. It kind of just slowly gets infected and such. So then you had one of the best teams, groups of all time, the Sports Entertainment Extreme, or the SEX, because what sells? But you got to remember, this group literally had Glenn Gilberti, the former Disco Inferno, as their leader. You heard it right. You heard this right. I mean, This guy can't be a leader of a Pizza Hut. Okay, he couldn't even do that. So I'm just saying, you know what? He was a bouncer of the damn club, and he still gets fired. You
Yep.
know, come on.
It's
So
pizza.
this group lasts for a few months, and then they're gone. So I have to always say that as is a good dishonorable mention. But I will say, that was bad. But one more, just to kind of just have this is more of a joke, but it did have some good wrestlers. Was in WCW you had the natural born thrillers.
Yep.
The natural born thrillers with above average Mike Sanders. Because that's what you want to be, above average, apparently.
Yep.
But then you had people like Reno, who invented one of the most iconic finishing moves, the roll the dice or the crossroads and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then you just had so many other random people in this group. You had Palumbo, Chuck Palumbo. You had Mark Generic Drac, or I'm sorry, Gendrac.
Yeah.
But and then you have a few other people in it. Then it's they have this huge group, and they're like, we're gonna be doing good. We're gonna be, and then they get their own pay-per-view. You got the New Blood Rising. The group was already disbanded by the time the pay-per-view started. The pay-per-view happened. I mean, this is WCW logic in 2000.
Yep, good old Russo.
So, but yeah, I mean, honestly, at that point, that's really all I got, man. I mean, I can go on for a long time about it, but that's really all I got on when it comes to the factions. But like I said, on another one, we'll be doing head-to-head on some massive ones, and I think that's going to be a good one. There.
Oh yeah.
But do you got anything else, Sauce, on your mind?
So as far as before we get going soon, I'm gonna just retract back over to birthdays real quick.
Oh, absolutely.
So I found a fun fact. There's when it comes to the month of August, there's 2 Dudley boys that was born in August.
Really? All right.
Yep, Devon and Spike Dudley.
Hey, that's pretty cool. I mean, they probably got a lot of that in ECW going back when they were in the teams together and such. Yep. That'd be cool.
And then, of course, everybody knows that Hogan, was born in, was in August and whatnot. But there's somebody who's more important than Hogan that was born in August. Goddamn Petey Williams. The man who gave us the greatest wrestling move in history, which was the Canadian Destroyer. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, go YouTube it.
YouTube Canadian Destroyer compilation. Guarantee you'll have a good time. And he also has the most patience I've ever seen any wrestler, because he had to sit and stand there while Scott Steiner had his infamous math equation promo. Yeah. So if he's got one thing, he's got patience. He's got patience.
I mean, I got a few more on here. I mean, I got a handful. I can read them off to you. I can read off to
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So I say your boy Mike Chioda with August. Now, mind you, these are all people, August people, just like us. So it's almost like a brotherhood we got going on over here. So we got good old Mike Chioda, Devon, who I went through earlier. Your boy Davey Boy Smith. Your boy Theory, who soon might be going back to Austin Theory. Damian Sandow, who
wasted opportunity, man.
Yeah. And then the person we talked about earlier, Dean Malenko. And then we got Sable. And then Shayna Baszler, who I think at this point she's her stock is rising pretty good.
It is actually. Yep.
And then the guy that we talked about yesterday, who I had no idea was a Shockmaster, but Tugboat, Typhoon.
Yep, from Natural Disasters. Yep. A very memorable tag team right there with
I'll say this one tickled your wrestling bone. Sadio Vega was born in August too.
Oh my gosh.
Mr. Intercontinental Champion. Then you got good old Wade Barrett. We went over Hogan and Spike. Bob Backlund. Let's see. Oh, Kofi Kingston, Gargano, Paige. It's gonna be interesting to see what she does with Life After Wrestling now.
Yeah.
And then good old Lillian Garcia. And speaking of Velveteen, I'm curious to see what he's going to be doing I mean, granted, if everything works out, as long as everything worked out for him. Let's see. Oh, one of your favorites. Good old Byron Sexton.
Oh my gosh.
What do
Oh,
you say every
Byron.
time? What do you say every time he shows up on the TV?
Oh gosh. I don't even know at this point. My brain is already like fried now from all these
So
other
every time,
factions.
so every time he shows up on the screen, Doc over here, he just looks at the TV and says, "Shut up, Byron."
Oh, yep. Yep. Shut
And
up,
then,
Meg. Shut up,
yep,
Meg.
that's basically yep. And then he was known as Gunther, but Walter is born in August. And then I found another one for you that you love, your boy Stevie Ray, Harlem Heat. And then actually, speaking of brothers, another pair of brothers was born. I mean, well, obviously Booker wasn't born in August, but these brothers was born in August. Was the Usos?
Oh, okay. I did
Yep.
not know that. Hey, that's
And
cool.
then then the bastard Pac as well, Apollo Cruz, the greatest SmackDown announcer ever, Funaki, number one announcer. Then of course, Vince McMahon, Soul Man Rocky Johnson, and Oldie but goodie, may rest in peace, good old Crash Holly.
Yep, that's a good one right there.
And then
Pound, that's awesome, man.
then the guy that gave us the greatest wrestling move ever, Petey Williams. And then Great Khali, Sergeant Slaughter. And here's another one that you'll love. Jazz.
Oh, okay, yep. Loved her in the ECW, and then she transitioned pretty well to WWE at that time because she had great competition. She was working with Victoria, Trish Stratus, and they had some great matches. Lita, Molly Holly, they had some great matches, and that's going to be another great one for women's wrestling from the before, the past, the present, the future, that kind of stuff. That's going to be a good one right there.
Oh yeah, can't wait for it. Then we got 3 left.
Oh, okay.
So we got Jeff Hardy, wherever the hell he's doing now. Mickey James and Ember Moon.
Mickey James, always my girl too, man. And hey, Ember Moon, maybe they'll make sure she does stuff with as Athena in AEW. Oh wait, she's still not doing anything right now.
Actually, pretty much whenever Cardell shows up, usually she's not too far behind.
Yeah, they're setting that up, and I hope that happens sooner than later. And I think something might happen at the next pay-per-view of All In in September. So, but yeah, hey, I like it for the birthdays. That's a good list right there of good Leos right there, majority Leos.
Hey, it's brotherhood. Only a few understand.
Yep. Oh boy, but you know what? We had a good talk today. We had a lot of stuff going on here, but I'll tell you, it's never a bad thing, dull moment to talk about wrestling with my boy Sauce here. And we appreciate all the people watching and everyone, with the chats. But if you don't got anything else, I think we can kind of wrap it up here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, once again, thank you guys, from taking time out of your day to watch 2 guys from Michigan, blabber on about wrestling, for some time. But yeah, we definitely get ready to get going because Hard Knocks is getting ready to come on, and I got to see Papa Dan Campbell. I got to see him, I got to hear him, give out, these testimonies and spirituals on HBO. So with that being said, y'all have a good one and be good.
All right. See you guys. Have a nice one.
Yep.